it will take away one of your absences. All right, we're ready. The Senate will now come to order. The Pledge of Allegiance will now be led by Chief of Staff Kohler, followed by a moment of silence and reflection.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated.
The clerk will call the roll. Please correct the pronunciation of your name if it is incorrect.
Lauren Anderson. William Barnes. Timothy Barr. Amanda Blanton. Bella Brash. Natalia Beyer. William Costello. Emma Cumby. Tate Few. Amelia Gay. Caleb Geddens. Kaylee Goodrich. Aiden Gruner. Chandler Hines. Zoe Hopkins. Daniel Huang. Muhammad Iftikhar. Anita John. Lakika Cassetti. Camden Kay. Tori Kerner. Mia LaPenta. Donnie Lapsley. Jeffrey Lyons. Jackson Matthews. Isabel Miller. Mackenzie Mozo. Bryson Peterson. Stone Pillsbury. Ainsley Reed. Sarai Ramali. Rodrigo Rojas. Taylor Silkert. Amaya Sowell. William Wenzel. Lawson Windsor. Marion Winters.
With a quorum being present, is there a motion to approve the Journal of September 25th, 2024 as found online? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We are now in line for general orders of the Senate, beginning with reports from Senate leadership. Speaker Pro Tempore Beyer, you are recognized to give a report on the Rules Committee.
Hi everyone. So as per usual, rules met last Sunday at 5:30 p.m. and we reviewed 3 pieces of legislation, all 3 of which were found unanimously favorable and will be hitting the floor tonight. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
The Speaker Pro Tempore yields her time to questions. Are there any questions?
Also, happy birthday, Maura.
Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Academics Committee. Chairwoman Anderson, you are recognized.
Hey guys, so academics met online this week at 7 p.m. on Monday, and then myself and Vice Chair Cumby had the opportunity to sit down with Lisa Gerald. She's the director of the Office of Student Advocacy. We met with her to discuss her opinions on a few student issues and discuss adding the Office of Student Advocacy's link on the Blackboard page so that you can see it on Blackboard. And then we also discussed and started planning a potential tabling event in the coming months. And then in our meeting, we had a few discussions regarding study spot advertising, J-School technology, and the Student Disability Resource Center, along with some other initiatives that we will keep working on in the coming weeks. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
The Chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Finance Committee. Chairman Wenzel, you are recognized.
Hello everyone, Finance Committee met this past Friday as usual at 3:30. Had a lot of allocations that we went through, and then also had one comptroller interview which we found favorable, and we're extending 2. With that, I yield my time to questions.
The Chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Health and Safety Committee. Chairman Gruner, you are recognized.
Hey guys, happy Wednesday. So Health and Safety met virtually on 4:30 last Thursday due to the storm. We've been finalizing our last few details for the SIP Safe Carolina initiative. We've been working on what things we're going to distribute alongside those testing kits, and kind of working on also seeing like what SAPE, which is a substance abuse prevention education, is going to provide us in conjunction with that. We're also putting some touches on the domestic violence tabling event and how health and safety and Senate as a whole can work together with the fraternity in getting that initiative done. Huge shout out to Senator Hopkins. Her first piece of legislation will be hitting tonight. She did a lot of research, did a lot of contacts, and actually led Health and Safety's first physical survey of the semester. So huge shout out to her. And then finally, Senator John has been working on setting up a meeting with Dr. Marie Ross Alexander, and we will be meeting with her on October 10th at 3 p.m. to discuss some various health initiatives moving forward. And with that, I yield to questions.
The chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none.
Brother.
Thank you. Seeing none, thank you. Can the record reflect that Senator Few is now present? We will now hear a report from the Inclusion and Equity Committee. Chairwoman Cassetti, you are recognized.
Hello everyone, happy Wednesday. Inclusion and Equity did not meet this week due to the storm and then also some other meeting cancellations. For that reason, we do not have any updates this week. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Judiciary Committee. Chairman Kay, you are recognized.
Good afternoon. Judiciary did not meet due to the hurricane, unfortunately. Though we did have one piece of agenda that was placed and voted upon, SBL 116-15, a bill to allow Senate proxies or freshman members to serve as Senate proxies, and that was found unanimously favorable by the committee. I yield to questions.
The chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Chairman Pillsbury, you are recognized.
Good afternoon. Not much to report this week. We had to postpone, or we had some scheduling conflicts with one of the interviews, but we will be getting that done as soon as possible. But with that, I yield my time to questions.
The chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Student Life Committee. Chairman Barnes, you are recognized.
All right, what's up, everyone? A little bit of a longer thing from me today, but Student Life met virtually on Monday at 5. During the meeting, we continued working on our individual action plans, and we're seeing some good progress with that. We also continued working on our committee-wide initiative, which I can finally share with you all. Our committee plans to host a Christmas event the week before finals at an off-campus after-school facility. And for this event, we're going to basically be bringing Build-A-Bear to the facility and allowing students to make their own Build-A-Bear and use accessories and things like that, along with some food and drinks. We're also going to be doing a toy drive to raise Christmas presents for the families and the students at the school about a month before the event, but we still have some to figure out with that, along with dates and things like that. We also had the chair of the Student Life Committee and Freshman Council join us for a meeting. Super productive conversation about the plans of both committees and how we plan to work together throughout the term. I also plan on attending some of their meetings and would encourage everyone else to do the same. With that, I yield my time to questions.
The chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Also, just on the record, for anybody who's not in Senate, we didn't just throw away our dress code. It was a dress down. If they donated, they were allowed to dress like this. So we will now hear a report from the Sustainability Committee. Chairwoman LaPinta, you are recognized.
Hey guys, so Sustainability met virtually on Monday at 6 p.m. because of the hurricane. I didn't want to make anybody walk. So nothing like super big as far as my committee is concerned. Everyone's mostly just kind of working on their own initiatives and researching them. They're kind of like waiting on responses, so they're kind of just like sitting and, just chilling. But I plan to meet with Abby Scobie and Chandler Daly, 2 members of Freshman Council, because they were interested in collaborating with a couple pieces of legislation potentially and some initiatives. And with that, I yield to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We'll now hear a report from the Freshman Council. Are there any representatives from the Freshman Council present? Y'all are recognized. And if y'all will just let us know your names and your hometowns. I know, but I just want to remind everyone.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jacob Booton. I'm from Latson, South Carolina.
I'm Graham Flaherty, and I'm still from Marietta, Georgia.
Okay, so on Sunday we had our professional development retreat in Russell House, and that went from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We went over all sorts of professional development activities, including Senate procedures and how to work through the VP's department to plan some events such as tabling. And then we also had a introductory mixer with some of the potential mentors for our mentor-mentee program at the end of the day.
After that, we did not meet on Monday because of the hurricane and the way that school worked out. So we had some asynchronous work that we did, setting up resumes and LinkedIn. So connect with the freshman council people on LinkedIn, please. I'd appreciate it. Happy birthday. We yield our time to questions.
Thank you. The representatives yield their time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Constitutional Council. Chief Justice Buchmeyer, you are recognized.
Evening, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well this evening. Like all good things come to an end, we've actually got stuff to talk about this week. I don't know if it's on par with the fall of the Roman Empire first streak, but it might be pretty close. Would have been an update last week, but scheduling conflicts and having to leave because of extended session. Last Tuesday, we had a constitutional challenge file. It was reviewed by the Constitutional Council. At the end, it was concluded unanimously it didn't lack standing, and so it was thrown, essentially dropped there, and the case was not heard. I assume everyone saw the memo. Hope that got circulated around. Past that, I mean, everything you need to know is in the memo, and so I'm not really going to comment upon that. Past if there are any clarifying questions, particularly, but I'm probably going to say look in the memo. Additionally, it's come to my attention that there's some confusion going on potentially about how the codes and Constitution work for update. As the granted power of Chief Justice is actually updating the codes and Constitution, it seems like a timely opportunity to explain it. Constitution is kind of the really basic foundation document for the entirety of student government, and that's as a position for the Constitutional Council, hence the name, is kind of making sure that's well maintained and preserved. So most of our work is largely making sure codes stay in line with the Constitution. Recently, across the last 5 years, there have been some updates to the Constitution. What that means is that, like most constitutional update, like change or amendment procedures, that originated from previous student senates, gets passed through the Senate by the required majority, and then once that, it then goes to referendum. Those constitutional changes, first major one was, 5 years ago or so, 4 years ago, was to remove the treasurer position. That was removed. It got added back, so you can reflect on whether that was a good decision. Not my space. I did get the joy of adding it back. And then, as a result of some issues, I'm not really sure, I just update it, that then gets added back. As part of that same amendment to restore it, you then had an update to apportionment of student senate, right? And that was to get the delegates to Carolina Life. All of that was done, again, through, as outlined in the Constitution itself, its amendment procedure. Almost any Constitution that exists is going to have an amendment procedure, and that's typically to make sure you can meet and fit the updates of the essential structure of the organization to the organization's needs, right? So all of that was done through the Student Senate, and then actually for the change to go through, it goes through referendum. So that was all voted at the same time 2 years ago, as you would have executive elections for your general elections for student government. That referendum was voted on by the student body and was overwhelmingly confirmed. At that point, it becomes our job to update. The joy of this is it then takes us some time to get the text and update and pass it through. This was actually finalized, so that vote went through, I suppose, not last April, but the previous one, right? And then then becomes our job to update it. I mean, it takes time because we also do codes updates, and I'm generally the only one doing it, so it takes a procedure. That was finally written and sent through to Kinsey last February. There was a slight miscommunication, and as a result, it didn't actually get processed through to the website until this semester. Please note that across that entire procedure, the updated and amended Constitution was the one being used, right? So although we did not have the explicit text of that Constitution posted on the website, past the passage in the referendum, that was what was being used all the way through last fall for apportionment, right? And that's how we currently have seats apportioned to Carolina Life. That is the general framework of what the Constitution has been going through in the last 5 years. If anyone's got any clarifying questions, I'm going to be open to them in a sec. Additionally, then we have the codes, right? Codes are what y'all all pass through, and here, the codes are essentially grant greater specificity, right? And you'll see a lot of times in the Constitution itself, see the codes for further detail, essentially. It allows us to build more structures that aren't necessarily a core principle or value of the organization, but to provide greater clarity or create a new function or to outline programs and procedures. Those get updated and passed by legislation, right? That is a different process distinctly, right? So that's just going to be a bill comes through, and you all pass that through. It gets voted on, and as long as it gets signed by the student body president, or in case it gets vetoed and then could get approved through, it's still going to go through. We then update the codes as well. So different procedure, but still it originates, notably for both of them, out of the Student Senate, right? So as to say generally, all of this stuff generally follows the procedures set out by the Constitution itself, or for any changes past that, the codes as well. So with that, I think that covers as far as a basis, as far as I want to describe it as a general concept. But if anyone has any clarifying questions they would like to ask or ask for specifics on that, I'd be more than happy, whether it's the details of the document itself or the procedure and updating it over the last few years and the process that's been behind that. And with that, I'll yield to questions.
So to clarify, the Constitution that got uploaded to the Google Drive 3 weeks ago, that was voted on not only by a full student senate and passed, but then voted on by the entire student body and passed. There's no changes to the Constitution that aren't done without those 2 votes. It was just a clerical error on my part.
So, I mean, and I would note that, again, and even if it's not updated and seen on the website as that document, that is what's actively being used upon its passage in the referendum. And so, again, that was per the outline of the amendment process in the Constitution itself. It originated in Student Senate, it passed the Student Senate vote, and then it went through the referendum. The moment the referendum hit, not 2024 April, but 2023 April for elections, the moment it passed the referendum there, that's when that went into effect. And that is the root of that basis. And I think it was a pretty large majority of the student body voted that all through, very substantial. So again, that was a power rooted in the Student Senate that it exercised, and then a power rooted in the actual students who are represented by student government, and they're the ones who pushed that through. The actual presentation online, that was more of an issue of delays in getting it updated, and then also perhaps some issues of organizing, making sure we get the right version up. But yeah, so again, that all came through a normal procedure.
The Chief Justice yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank y'all.
We'll now hear a report from the Speaker of the Senate, Maura Hamilton, Chief of Staff Kohler, and Director of Outreach, Ellie Tanner. You are both recognized.
Hello, I'm Ellie Tanner, if I haven't met you all. So I'm in charge of outreach for Senate. If you or your committees have any ideas about any tabling, initiatives, any events you want to have, reach out to me. That's my job, is to help you do that. I made a form on Garnet Gate. It's called 2024 Senate Outreach Initiatives. Just look it up, fill out any details there. It's time, name, any stuff like that. If you have any further questions, my email's on there. You can reach out to me. And one thing is try to fill that form out about a month in advance because it takes a while to table and make sure things are available. But if you have any events at all, come talk to me. My job is to help you. So, thanks.
All right. And then, hey, y'all, I'm excited to finally get back to chatting with you. Walkathon this Sunday, 2 to 7 p.m. at Segra Park. It is an absence excuse event for Senate. So if you show up to that, you'll have one of your absences removed from like just missing Senate or a committee meeting, something like that. We expect to see you all there. It's going to be a blast. Another important point. So when we have executive session, what happens in executive session needs to stay in executive session. That information is not to be discussed outside of these walls when we're in executive session. That information needs to stay private. That's, in our codes. That's the reason we went into executive session. So please be mindful of that for the future. Also, it's the midway point in the term. Legislation should be ramping up by now. Y'all have been doing really great about pushing legislation through. I get the emails every time you do, and it's really exciting to look through and see what y'all are up to. So great job with that. Just keep that legislation coming. If you don't have a placard, which I know a few of y'all don't right now, we're getting new ones next week. But if you haven't told us that you're missing your placard or we lost it somehow, come up to us after this Senate session and we'll get you a new one ordered. Yeah, and with that, I yield my time to questions.
The Chief of Staff yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Y'all should definitely come to the walkathon. My parents are coming from New Jersey, so. We are now in line for a report from the student body treasurer of Jacob Vaught. Are there any representatives present? Seeing none. We are now in line for a report from the student body vice president. Vice President Courtney Tax, you are recognized.
Hey y'all. Okay, I apologize in advance. Programming week, so I have a few updates. Okay, Stigma Free Week is this week. Tomorrow we have our 7 Brew partnership. It'll be coffees and counselors from 10 to 12. They're giving out free coffee, and then we have actual counselors coming from the Center of Health and Wellbeing. So if you just want to talk to someone or just meet our professional staff at the center, feel free to come down. Even if you can't volunteer at that time, come get some free coffee. The goal was just to make your day a little bit better. And then Sunday is our walkathon. I am really, really, really happy to announce that currently we've raised $12,859.76 since the start of this event. The walk will be from 3 to 6, and bib pickup will start at 2. Again, at Founders Park, we will be going in through that front entrance, so not the student entrance, but the front entrance. If you've signed up, you'll be getting an email from us tomorrow about more specifics when it comes to the day. The band High June will be coming. I listened to their set. It sounds really, really good, so I'm excited. And our very own DJ, Pearson, will be coming to do sets in between the band. Also, if this interests anybody, concessions will be available, and a percentage of the proceeds are going to the JED Foundation. They will be serving hot dogs, pretzels, nachos, candies, and drinks. So if you want a glizzy, come out. We'll also have yard games, so cornhole. I think we're bringing spike ball. You'll get free water bottles from Parking and Transportation, a free t-shirt as well. The back of it says USC is here for you and has the suicide prevention hotline number. And if you want to volunteer, Village Idiot is catering pizza for free if you would like some Village. And then I'm going to have Patton speak a little bit more about Stuff the Bus, but I did want to say that Clutch Coffee is coming out, and all proceeds from Clutch, if you buy from them, is going to American Red Cross. And I've also ordered 20 dozen donuts. Also, Pat and I's alma mater will be there. They're doing the same event at our high school and bringing all of the stuff. So if you see any high schoolers, say hi. For some brief updates on Freshman Council, they had their retreat and had lots of great ideas. We did something new this year, so we have a chairperson, a Senate liaison, and a cabinet liaison in every committee, so you should have been reached out to by them. And this was just to kind of streamline communication, hopefully make it more cohesive and get them involved. And then I also sent out an email about to everyone that signed up for the Big Little form that I sent out this summer, where we're going to have our mixer on Monday, October 7th from 6. We're going to be doing ice cream sundaes. If you did not get that email and you would like to be a mentor or a big, please reach out to me. I'll get you kind of in that process. And if you have any updates or anything for the next week and you want it to go in the newsletter, feel free to fill out the form on Garnet Gate. Okay. With that, I yield my happy birthday, Maura. Love you.
Thank you.
With that, I
Love
yield my
you.
time to questions.
The student body vice president yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Love you more. We are now in line for a report from the student body president. President Patton Byers, you are recognized.
Why is it to the front? lying to me. This is a little. Yeah, we're gonna do that. Alrighty. I'll talk a little bit about Stuff the Bus, which is an amazing initiative our philanthropy team has been working on, and alongside me and really the whole team of student government. We came together with this idea around Sunday morning, afternoon-ish, and solidified things Monday afternoon when we got the parking transportation to be a partner in this and have a bus that will come and take all these goods to different areas across the state, which is very, very exciting to say the least. We have a bunch of partners in this process. I mean, number one, it's open to the public, so everyone can be a partner. Anyone can. But to name a few organizations that are partners, we have Dance Marathon, 80 Pi, Alpha Gam, Kappa Delta, Sorority.
Vice President Tax, who are some partners in this event, walkathon?
Yeah, it's like, oh, no. I'm talking about Stuff the Bus.
Oh.
Oh, yes, that too. We're all very sad about it. We'll miss her. Anyway, the president will be there as well, so that. Anyway, the president will be there as well, so that's very exciting as well. So this is gonna be a great event. We will stuff the bus. We will fill the bus. I'm fully confident of that. It will take all of us, so we need all of our help with this, and this is something we're going to add. One of the community service hours will be, for my branch at least, will be fulfilled if you donate to this supply drive. So that takes all the questions for Stuff the Bus. Happy to answer more after this as well. One other thing when it comes to academics, we had a meeting with the Vice Provost of Undergraduate Affairs, Laura Anderson, and we talked about select things. One of them is the schedule planner under when you pick your classes and register classes is gone. So I'm asking questions about that and to see if we can get that back. We definitely need that back. So we're going to hopefully figure that out. Another thing that we're working on in my cabinet is, the resource toggle where when you click on your class and there's like the course content, assignment, discussion, so on and so forth. There's a resource one, but it never has anything in it. We're trying to get all of it, all of them in any class you have. When it goes to that resource thing, it will go to Student Success Center, tutoring, mental health. All the different resources that you can get out of the university will be on that main page. We've gotten preliminary yeses, and we're hitting a road bump right now, but I think we'll be able to figure it out, and hopefully that will be all squared away soon. One other thing that we're talking about is a reformed exam schedule. So we'll maybe see that this semester, maybe not. That would be potentially the shortening of exams by 30 minutes. So if it was shortened, your exam would also be shortened. So it wouldn't be the same exam with the less time. So it would fit the bill either way. But we're looking into potentially doing that if that potentially might be something beneficial. Talking about met with the president and members of his cabinet about the hurricane relief efforts in general, but besides Stuff the Bus, just a general update for y'all if you are interested in hearing. USC Upstate was hit pretty hard. They had about 40 students displaced and had to evacuate their housing. 100 also were displaced in Upstate. I think they just recently got power back. USC Union could be out of power, and the whole county could be out of power for the next few weeks. So that is obviously not a great situation. Some of our other counties in the state, Aiken and Edgefield, are still without about 90% out of power and fuel. So thoughts and prayers from me, and I would speak for the rest of the exec on that as well, to that community. I think that is it. I'm going to yield to questions.
The student body president yields his time to questions. Are there any questions?
Is there a question that we should sing tomorrow for her birthday?
Oh my God.
Okay. I thought that. Okay. All right.
Y'all.
Who wants to start it? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
I mean, should I
Happy birthday to you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So So she turns 21, so we'll imagine this is her first drink of alcohol and is
Oh, first time ever.
totally responsible tonight. So anyway, with that, thank y'all. I'll give my time.
The student body president yields his time to the well, I guess. Y'all can find him afterwards. Yep. I've never drank before in my life. First legal day. Also, this is super embarrassing, but hello to my mom and dad because they've been blowing up my phone and telling me that they're watching all of this. So I don't know what camera is on me right now, but hey, guys. All right. Seeing no more general orders of the Senate, we are now in line for special orders of the Senate. Are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read?
A communication from the Powers and Responsibilities Committee requesting a one-week extension for the following vacant seat nominations: Grant Dworzanowski and Nuan Kersner.
The question is of a one-week extension of the vacant seat nominations. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The extension is granted. Continuing on with the special orders of the Senate, are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read?
A communication from the Finance Committee requesting a one-week extension for the following comptroller nominations: Sanaya Cameron and Zachary Gardner.
The question is of a one-week extension for the nominees of comptroller. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The extension is granted. Continuing on with the special orders of the Senate, are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read? Seeing no more special orders of the Senate, we are now in the motion period. Are there any motions on the floor at this time? Senator Few. There's been a motion to amend SBL 116-17, my apologies. Per Amendment 1, does the sponsor find this amendment friendly or unfriendly? Seeing no objections, the legislation is now amended. Are there any other motions on the floor at this time? Chairman Kaye. Okay. There's been a motion to place SBL 11600, no title, onto the first reading calendar. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is now placed on the first reading calendar. From now on, the legislation shall be referred to as SBL 11619. Are there any other motions on the floor at this time? Senator Hopkins. There's been a motion to remove Senator Hopkins from the ad hoc committee. Is there a second? Seeing no more objections, the senator is now removed. Sorry, y'all. Are there any other motions on the floor at this time? Is there a motion for a brief recess to reconcile the amendment to SBL 116-17? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. The Senate will now come to order, and the changes are reflected in the public information folder. Are there any other motions on the floor at this time? Seeing none, is there a motion to dispense of this motion period? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We are now on the call of the introduction of new legislation. The clerk will read.
SBL 11616, a recommendation to permit the Finance Committee to allocate funds.
Chairman Wenzel, you are recognized to speak on the legislation.
Hello, everyone. Finance Committee reviewed $25,269.01 this week, and we approved the lot. With that, I yield my time to questions.
The chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions for the chairman? Senator Gettins. There's been a motion to pass SBL 11616 by unanimous consent. Seeing no objections, the legislation has now passed. Continuing on with the call of new legislation, the clerk will read.
SBL 11617, a bill to amend Chapter 3 of the Student Government Codes.
Senators Few and Lapsley, you are recognized to speak on this legislation.
Okay, cool. Okay, so hi everyone. So this bill is to amend Chapter 3 of the Student Government Codes, essentially to increase accountability, due diligence, and clarity amongst these codes when it comes to finance allocations. So I'll just go through it section by section. So in terms of Section 1, it just changed the discretionary power to a mandatory power for the Finance Committee if the organization violates some sort of law or they misappropriate funds. And later in the bill, it goes into more clarity on how we substantiate those claims as well. So Section 2 is just procedural. It just moves something over to conform with the code sections, just to make sure it's all clear in terms of numbering. Section 3, that one is prohibiting, like, if there's an alternative source of funding that an organization can get for a line item, it would prohibit them from getting funding for that line item. So let's say they get a grant or an in-kind donation for like food or venue or something like that, we wouldn't be able to fund that. I'm sure that's what we do already. It's just nice to have that in code as well. And then it also says that pre-existing funds in the student organization account wouldn't be considered as alternative funds. So we don't want to punish them for having a certain amount of funds in their student account. And then Section 4 outlines an audit procedure. So essentially the Finance Committee should confer with anybody that's authorized in the university to interpret university policy to see if there's a violation, just to make sure that that's substantiated and we're voting on a valid violation of university policy. The second part is that we should confer with the Attorney General if there's an ambiguous violation. So if it's unambiguous, the Finance Committee would be able to use their discretion. But in terms of like unambiguous or ambiguous violations, then the Attorney General would have to be consulted to make sure there's an actual violation of the codes. And then the third part is that we should request the university administration submit any action or material that could potentially violate the law to make sure that it's a substantive claim against the law, and that we're voting on that from proper authority. And then Section 5, it just further defines profitable revenue. It wasn't defined in the codes. So it's defined as any income that exceeds the total receipts of the event in question, income that is collected for use outside the scope of the event, or income that is used for private enormment, so essentially private benefit, so them getting profit for themselves. And then Section 6 further outlines an audit procedure. So if the Finance Committee believes there's any violation of the profitable revenue section, then they need to request unredacted financial documents from the organization. And then if they've been granting funding, if they've already been granted funding, they should do the same thing. And if they find a violation, then either the funding request should be denied or they should be barred from funding for the academic year if they were already granted funding. And then the remainder of it is just conforming with the sections as well. So that's the full bill, and I yield my time to questions.
The senators yield their time to questions. Are there any questions for the senators? Chairman Wenzel. Bless you.
The amendment was just a procedural change, so the operative language is 3540H, and I'd put 3540H1, and that was the only change.
Are there any other questions for the senators? Vice Chairman Matthews. Heard but not recognized because it's going there anyway. Yeah. Are there any other questions for the senators? Seeing none, thank you. Seeing no more questions, the legislation is now referred to both the Finance and the Judiciary Committees. Continuing on with the call of new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11618, a recommendation to adhere the Darla Moore School of Business doors to the lockdown procedures outlined by the hours of operation for the school.
Senator Hopkins, you are recognized to speak on the legislation.
Ooh, you guys are scary. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Whoa, okay. Hi. So this is pretty straightforward. Basically just the hours of operations listed like on Darla's doors basically outline that from after 8 p.m. to get into the doors, you need to present a Carolina card. However, when I went there and surveyed, after 8 o'clock, every single one of the doors, all of the entrances were just open. And it was funny because this like guy who I guess worked there, he was like, you know you can go in if the scanner is green. And I was like, that's the problem, sir. But it's just been brought to my attention. It's just a big safety thing. So yeah, I yield the questions.
The senator yields her time to questions. Are there any questions for the senator? Vice Chairman Matthews. There's been a motion to pass SBL 11618 by unanimous consent. Seeing no objections, the legislation is now adopted. Congratulations, Senator Hopkins. That's your first piece of legislation. Continuing on with the call of new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11619, a resolution to commend and congratulate Speaker Hamilton for her dedication and leadership.
Chairman Kay, you're recognized to speak on the legislation.
All right, I'll be very, very brief because I believe pretty much every single one of you have been texted about this, and if you haven't, I'm really sorry. There was a lot of numbers. I won't stay very long up here because for all the people who want to talk about this, I would like you to please rise up and come up and join me at the stand if you want to talk. So all of you who have speeches prepared, please come up.
Guys.
Wait. If you have I have my computer here. I'll move my computer. Form a line, I guess.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. I'll let everyone come up first. First of all, this should show you how much you're absolutely appreciated every single day. You put in so much work for this, for all of us, and it does not go unnoticed, believe me. I just wanted to share one time. This was like my first student gov event ever, and I had no clue who anybody was, and Maura was like, oh my gosh, you can come over and borrow this dress. And I have so many pictures in that dress, and I just like, that's how I knew, like, not only is she a friend, but she is a great leader and just like, you know, takes people under her wing and just inspires so many people. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Maura. Thank you.
All right, as it's been said many times today, it's our speaker's birthday today. Although I would like to believe I was the first one to say it last night. Happy birthday again. As Speaker, you've made so many positive changes to the Senate. You're receptive to any ideas that we have and make an effort to show up to all our committee meetings and any faculty meetings that we have. Any questions we have, you're more than happy to answer and guide us in the right direction. Trust me, I know this more than any of you because I refuse to check the Senate manual. I promise I do now, and as Maura always says, your answers are there, so don't bother. On a serious note, I don't think anyone else here would say they could do a better job than you, so thank you for all that you do for Senate. You've definitely done your part in making the university a better place for students, and I'm excited to see what else you do during your term as Speaker of the 116th Senate. Happy birthday, Mudang.
All right, there's going to be a little backstory to this one, but
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so happy birthday, first of all. Throughout her time at Senate, it has always been apparent that Maura is one of the hardest working people I know. Often her work occurs outside of Senate and does not get directly seen. I've seen her countless hours she puts in, and I want to take a moment to recognize all the work she puts in for others. That is one of her greatest qualities, is the amount of support she shows to every person in this room. Personally, when I first met Maura, I've only talked to her a couple of times, and then she agreed to let me stay with her in her apartment, not knowing me well during spring break. During this time, she helped me through a difficult roommate situation and then introduced me to Student Gov while doing this. That is one thing that Maura will always do, is care about others around her. Maura always puts others first, and for all of us, no matter what happens. The senators cannot appreciate this enough, and I just want to thank you for your 110 support all the time, and I love you, and I'm proud of you.
Alright, hi, good evening, everyone. I'll try not to be very formal. I've never been up here. I'll try not to be too long-winded, but obviously I'm here to speak on behalf of Maura's true dedication and accomplishments as a speaker and someone I'm proud to call my best friend. Anyone can see what Maura does from an outside perspective. From her sorority executive role, admissions, office position, research thesis, robust social life, nursing school, to finally being Speaker of the Senate, her membership in all of these are impressive alone. As it relates to student government, what stands out to me most is her true dedication to not only us as senators, but the student body as a whole. Before becoming Speaker, Maura was a senator just like us, and she exemplified what it truly means to represent your constituents. I can say I've personally witnessed firsthand her polling students at the College of Nursing, asking for feedback and creating tangible solutions she can accomplish on their behalf. Through her experience as a senator, she not only blossomed in that role, but moved on to educate others on how to do the same. Her foremost accomplishment to date, in my opinion, is the relationship she's built with every senator here. As a roommate, I can attest she truly is working on the student government stuff or studying pharmacology every night until almost midnight. So when she says, come studying the LSC, she means it. We had a little party the other night there, so please come. She even defended us amidst potential legal consequences, ensuring she spoke with every single senator at risk. At the end of the day, Maura stands as a role model to us all and a reason to celebrate tonight. I'm so proud to call her not only my boss, my best friend. Happy birthday. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm not gonna be long-winded. Happy birthday. I put a lot of memories, but the most fondest one, honestly, was when I changed my vote in Judicial Committee for her to be the chair from the 115th. It was mainly because I really, truly did understand her ability of empathy, which is something that I sometimes lack. So also, we've had clashes in the past, but she's always reflected that, okay, maybe my aggressive tactics are not the best option, and sometimes calm dialogue is a better solution. And since my time being around her, that's what she has taught me, and it honestly has, made me a better person in just how I conduct myself. And I still stand by my decision that, she knows the codes and everything just as well as any other guy from the 115th, and if not better now. And I just want you to know I do respect you, and thank you for all of the hard work that you have put in.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Maura. I'll keep this brief. Sorry. I'm new on Senate this year, and I was put into this to position as chairman of Powers Committee unexpectedly. And despite being new, she's made me feel so included in this body. She is a truly amazing person, and she's always supported me. I would not have been able to do half the things that I've done without her and her help. So, Maura, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I hope you have a happy birthday.
Thank you.
To be fair, I didn't realize that we were all coming up and doing speeches, so I didn't prepare anything. But what I do know for certain is that nobody has prepared us better for what we do to represent our constituents as much as Maura has. She has always been there for us. She's always communicated for us, and she's always led us in a positive direction towards being able to do what is right for the entire student body, and she works tirelessly at it. She knows that we've texted multiple times where she's at her office past 12 o'clock at night, and so she works incredibly hard for for the moments that y'all don't even see. And I believe that that's worth recognition for not just somebody as a person, but as a leader. And those traits are what make Mora so special as Mora. And so thank you so much for everything you do, and happy birthday.
First off, I want to say happy birthday.
Thank you.
As someone completely new on Senate who had no idea how student government worked and the fact that it would actually turn into a family, I genuinely think that you fostered that relationship and you make this a family. And I'm so happy that I get to know you and that you have been so gracious and so kind to pick up all my crazy calls that make no sense whatsoever and be so nice about it. Like, I just think you're an incredible person, and I hope to be like you one day, just a little. Like, I look up to you a lot. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
All right, last but not least, really trying not to cry. Really sad. Not even me. There's not a lot else I think I could add on to what it's already been said, other than I think you're wonderful and you've done so much for so many people here. Ooh, okay. I can't do that. All right. I thought I would cry when I left Senate, not for this. All right, I'll yield to questions.
Thank you all so much. The chairman yields his time. Gosh, sorry guys, this is really embarrassing. The chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Gettins. There's been a motion to pass SBL 11619 by unanimous consent. Seeing no objections, the legislation is now adopted. Sorry, I'm trying to stop crying. I'm gonna put on the glasses so no one can see me cry. Jesus. Good Lord. Okay, continuing on with the call of the introduction of new legislation, the clerk will now read. Seeing none, that completes the call of uncontested legislation. Or first reading calendar, so sorry. Continuing on to the second reading calendar, uncontested, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11615 and a bill to implement freshman council representatives to serve as proxies for senators.
Chairman Anderson, you're recognized.
Okay, 1 second, guys. It was open. Oh, she turned on, if anyone was worried. Okay, so really quick, this legislation is pretty straightforward. Essentially, this bill serves to allow freshman council members to serve as proxies for absent senators. The only thing we're actually changing in the bill is allowing freshman council members to serve. However, we've discussed with the VP branch and the FROCO directors about some things that'll be implemented, including you will not get to pick your FROCO member. They'll be assigned, and you'll have to check that box when you fill out the proxy form. And then if you choose to have a FROCO member as your proxy, you'll have to meet with them before the meeting to go over the legislation, how you want to vote, what the legislation means, and things like that. You don't have to have a FROCO member. It's just an option. And sorry, guys. This bill is super important because it allows FROCO members to kind of understand like what Senate looks like. I know as a FROCO member, I had no clue and was extremely scared of Senate. So hopefully it'll help with some of that. It's a great way to network, and it will make sure that our Senate is always full of seats. Oh, not full of seats. Has every seat have a person in it. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Chairman Barnes.
It would start, ideally, we discussed the week of the 9th. So basically next week. We just have to make some changes to, like, should it pass the proxy form, and then that'll go through the VP's branch.
Are there any other questions for the chairwoman? Seeing none, seeing that this legislation was on the uncontested calendar, we will now move to a voice vote on this legislation. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is now adopted. Chairwoman Anderson? There's been a motion to appoint Chairman Gruner as Chairwoman Anderson's proxy. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Chairwoman Anderson? Granted. Also, just a clarification on that bill, all freshman council members did receive a Senate training from me personally. It was the same exact training that y'all got when you became senators. So they are well-versed in how Senate works. And they'll also, as she said, be receiving a document. So they will never be able to just like fly around and do whatever they want. They'll have instructions beforehand. Continuing on with the uncontested calendar, the clerk will read. Seeing none, that completes the call of the uncontested legislation. We are now on the call of contested legislation. The clerk will read. Seeing none, we're now in line for a period of open discussion. Does any senator wish to bring a matter of attention to the body? Seeing none, we are now in line for a period of announcements. Are there any announcements from the floor? No, it's fine.
And you're gonna get shout outs on the Instagram. So if you could like fill it out once you get that form, and like we'll get a cool photo of you just on the Instagram for your birthday. It's super exciting. And if you have anything else that you like wanna put on the Instagram, anything you wanna like shout out, let me know, and I will talk to Courtney about it. Or you can just fill out the form directly on Birthday Page. If you need photos, they're all in the photo circle. Any other your social media concerns, you can talk to me at Courtney.
The past secretary yields the time to questions. Are there any questions? Okay. Seeing none, are there any other announcements on the floor? Just one quick announcement from me. I don't really have words other than thank y'all. You guys are the reason that makes all of the work so easy, and there's actually, and I'm not being sarcastic, like no better way than I could spend my birthday than being here with y'all. Like truly, y'all are the blessings in my life, and I'm so grateful to spend it every single Wednesday with each one of y'all. As always, I just really want to push you guys. If you have questions about anything, please, 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 please reach out to me. And even if you have questions and you feel like you need a direction to a better contact than me, that's totally fine, and I can direct you in that right point. I just like really want to make sure that everything that people are like operating on the assumption of, we're all on the same page. I just don't want anybody to get confused about processes, legislation, anything like that when it comes to student government. But otherwise, truly from the bottom of my heart, like, thank you so much. I could have never imagined anything like that happening for me, so that's crazy. But without any further announcements, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Without objection, the Senate will now stand adjourned until Wednesday, October 9th, 2024.